Y'all, Huntsville police were apparently on the lookout for this woman here. Have you seen this woman? Okay, according to local authorities, allegedly, this all went down where all things go down, and that is in the Home Depot. Oh, yes. The allegations are crazy, and any and everybody on this show is talking about it. So obviously, it's gonna take front and center stage. But just before the season aired, we got a chance to talk to Kiki Jabbar, the woman at the center of this alleged controversy, and here is what she had to say. Since Crime Stoppers was already out, I can ask you, what happened?
Oh my God. I want to tell so bad.
But you can't. Oh.
What happened? I have lawyers and they have really reprimanded me for some of the things that I've said that
Okay.
I shouldn't have said, but I'm so hasty because when you know what happened, you just want to tell. You just want the truth to be out. That's all. And unfortunately, I have to have some patience in this matter, and I ask that everyone else have patience, with me as well as we kind of navigate this because they are a big company, and you have to be careful. And because of my lawyers, I can't speak on the matter, but I can say that one day I will be fully vindicated.
As of today, we have no knowledge of exactly what has come of this. But what we do know is that the network aired this disclaimer at the end of the episode. More on this story as it continues to develop throughout the season. Now let's get into this review. Whoo! A lot to take in. We are back, y'all. Skye Squad, we are back in the building, and we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville season. I don't know what, but it is episode 1 of B, of part B of season, whatever it is. All I know is it was good, y'all. It was good. The episode is titled Innocent Until Proven Kiki. Now, based on what y'all saw on the screen and what you saw from that Crime Stoppers, I mean, the footage looks a little damaging, okay? I mean, for those of you guys who may have missed it, the allegations are that Kiki was in the Home Depot, allegedly. Let me put the alleged badge up here. She was allegedly putting items in her pocketbook, and apparently loss prevention stopped her, and she allegedly told the child to keep something, and then in her haste to get away and flee the scene, she almost allegedly hit someone in the parking lot as she was leaving. Okay, so I mean, guys, what do you think about this? I mean, is this real, or I mean,
is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I ask you. Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I ask you. Is it a coincidence?
what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section down below. Now, also, I want to know, what did you think of this premiere episode? Like, for me, I'm going to have to tell you, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I love this show, and I love it because not only was the episode just intriguingly good, I felt like there are so many players on the board, and I think that makes the show even more exciting. A full cast, I'm finding these days, gives me, I mean, more to chew on, especially because we've seen so much of these characters. And I feel like that may be the key to what you do as the show continues to grow in season after season. I think you add more characters to the mix, and especially more characters that make sense, like the Chris Fletchers, the Nell Fletchers. They all make sense. They help drive the story, and they're actively involved. The other thing that I love about this show is that the cast is fully integrated in very natural ways, like the comeback group, the expanded not comeback group, the event that was still, that went on last season that's now carrying over into this season. You got a scandal brewing that we need to find out more about. And again, everybody to me feels like an active player in this group, and everybody's got something crazy going on. The other thing I think that sets this show apart from some of the other shows, well, not really, I guess we would say housewife shows, is I keep saying y'all need to involve the men, especially men that are a bit messy, okay? And the men on Huntsville, they are not afraid to dive right on into the mess. I love it. I love it. That's why I continue to say on Housewives, pay these men. Get these men involved. When Housewives was in its heyday, we had the component of the men added to the mix, which added to the chaos. Okay. So those are the elements to me that made this episode a 10. I was intrigued. We've got story going, and we're gonna get into it right now. All right. So we start off this episode with all the Kiki stuff. Now Tiffany has Mel over, and of course, Tiffany really wants the tea. Mel is getting to see the baby for the first time. She's the first person in the group to see the baby. The baby's, adorable as all, I try to look at babies as being babies, and babies are babies. The baby was babying, and there we go. All right. Tiffany was Tiffanying. She want to know how all of this stuff with Kiki is going to affect her brand. The problem with Tiffany is don't nobody on this cast know what she do. I don't know what she do. Okay. She manages, she raises funds. Is that what she does? All I know is she's always on the laptop. She's always traveling. Otherwise, I ain't got no clue what she do. Leticia don't got no clue what she do. Kimmy don't have no clue what she do. Heck, Mel probably don't even know what the child do. Does Lewis know what she do? Because I don't know what she do. I need it to be clearly defined. Okay. Now, I don't think she's, sometimes on these shows, when I feel like I can't tell what you do from a simple explanation, then I be feeling like it's a scam. I don't feel like that's Tiffany. I feel like I just don't know what she does. Period. I'm talking about the Jen Shaw of it all, right? When Jen Shaw was introduced and I could not tell precisely what she did and nobody could really explain it to me, I knew something was awry. I did. I said it from the very beginning. I didn't know it was going to lead to what it led to, but that's just how I be feeling. If I can't really understand what you do from a simple explanation, then you're going to have to, you're going to have to break it down for me. Okay. So Tiffany, what do you do? Tell us. What's your job title? Babe, like give us some tea. Anyway, will all this affect their brands? Mel does not seem to be concerned about this at all. However, when we talked about this same thing kind of happening on, not the same thing, but a similar situation happening on Beverly Hills, the ladies were concerned about how it could potentially affect their own, how does it work when you are filming with someone who is potentially under investigation? We don't know. We don't know what the situation is, or at least they're offering rewards or allegedly all these things. It was a little bit of a worry on Salt Lake City with Jen Shaw, but it was of no concern to anybody on Basketball Wives when we talked about British. Okay. So, it's a valid question, I would say, but I would also say I agree with Mel. If you feel like she is damaging to your image, then being on the show, then you just may not need to be around her, period, until the issue is solved. I get it. But to a certain degree, it's like, that don't involve me. But I don't know what the standards are for her company, if she works for herself, because again, we don't know what Tiffany does. We don't know if there's any type of morality clauses. But in that case, you probably should not be on a reality TV show, especially one where you was asking, Sheree all about her personal business last season. But I digress. Anyway, Tiffany wants to do a baby reveal, and she gets Melody to do a video for her for the invite for breakfast at Tiffany's baby reveal. Whatever. This baby reveal will not happen in this episode. Spoiler alert. You're going to have to wait till next episode to get it. All right? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Courtney stops by the Black to basically confront Marsau about, kind of getting into getting into it a little bit with Stormy about that whole $100. Now, the issue, I believe, was not necessarily about the $100. It was just really the fact that, it was so much going on that day. And now that we've gotten a bit more explanation about it, what we now know is not everybody was charged this $100 from this event that was put on last season. So, now we're hearing that basically certain people started to be asked about their $100 based on them having maybe so many vendors or something like that. I'm not really sure. It's not really too well explained to me. But what I do know is some people were asked to pay $100 and some people were not, according to Kimmy. Okay. So it's real interesting. We learned that later on in the episode. I needed to know that in the beginning. Okay. Because it gives greater context to Courtney having this conversation with Marsau, because now knowing what I know, it makes Marsau look kind of crazy, as to me, he generally does, because I feel like he's generally trying to be a little bit of an a-hole and a little bit of a troll. You know what I'm saying? As Courtney is really trying to get down to the biz ie about confronting his wife about this $100 bill. Okay. I was about to sing that old Whitney song, $1 Million Bill. Anyway, I'm glad Courtney had that conversation with Marsau. Marsau was still Marsau, and Courtney kind of got on him about always being in women business or whatever like that. It's difficult when you're on a show like this to not really be in women business, because the men and the women are both being paid. So it's kind of difficult in that situation. But I do get what Courtney was saying. It's like, for real, you got an issue, you come to me. Like, just like we saw Marsau last season with Tiffany getting into her when it was really Martel that had the issue. He was there playing Heckle and Jekyll in the background, you know what I'm saying, egging the situation on and making it worse, right? So I don't blame Courtney for, wanting to, basically get into it with him about this. But again, Marsau was being Marsau and still wanting that $100 bill. And now that I know what I know, I'm like, well, shoot, Negro, you should be asking everybody for their $100 bill, okay? Especially if this is a retroactive ask, right? Again, it's not the $100 money amount; it's the principle of the thing. Courtney basically is like, yo, I'm not even dealing with this with you, because Marsau is like, well, how is somebody who makes women's hair products going to tell me to stay out of women's business? And it's like, yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a read. But at the end of the day, if you making buku money from those products, you helping your wife and you helping your wife to succeed and y'all doing it together, I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at it. Okay. Courtney ends up leaving $100 bill or some bills for the bartender or whatever like that. And he basically bounces. That's it on that. Kimmy wants to check in with Leticia, so she stops by Leticia's new spot. Is Marsau living in this new spot with Leticia and the kids? Because this is their temporary spot while they're waiting to move back into another. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. All I know is Scott Manor. It's been 6 years. Scott Manor ain't done. When it will be done, I don't know. But y'all tell me, okay? Kimmy, we learned, is finished with all of her treatments. Okay, and shout out to her. We are very happy to hear that. They recapped the lunch that they had last season for the season ender, with Stormy and Leticia getting into it, and Tiffany kind of getting into it as well. They're annoyed with Tiffany and Stormy, and they were both shocked that Tiffany wanted to participate, given that they don't even know what Tiffany does. So there's that. The Keke and Crime Stoppers incident comes up. Leticia wonders if she's back on the peels or dealing with any dealers. And then there was $1,000 reward for her. Now, my thought was, if Marsau was really hung up on that money, I guess he probably could have told the Crime Stoppers people where Kiki was, and he could have collected himself $1,000, put it back into that event, and then he wouldn't have to be chasing Stormy and all these people for all this money. But I'm assuming he may not want to, go down like that on the family, so he ain't do it. Anyway, I'm just trying to solve problems. Leticia is done trying to help Kiki, so she ain't gonna have nothing to do with the situation other than to talk about it from afar. But she is thinking about going to Tiffany's event if there's gonna be some tequila involved. So Chris Fletcher stops by, Martel's rental home or whatever like that. And ain't nothing wrong with renting the home or nothing like that. And don't get me wrong, but there is some contention here, right? Because apparently, first things first, Martel wants this man to put on booties to come into the rental home. Okay. Now, first of all, you were supposed to have been out of this home. Period, Martel. Second, if you're gonna require people to take off their shoes, then you need to have booties for them or have socks for them, because you don't necessarily know what it is gonna be when they come over to your home. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thought. If you just give me advance warning that you want me to come over with and take off my shoes when I come into your house. Otherwise, you need to have me some socks or some booties for my feet if you're gonna make those types of demands. Okay. And if you are the person that needs to be out of the home, I don't know, about a month ago or whatever, then you really can't be making no demands on me anyway. Okay. So Chris also is upset because him and Nell got subpoenaed in that little court situation with Melody and Martel. And he's like, I don't want no parts of that. I'm cool with both of y'all. And I'm not trying to be in the middle of y'all's, whatever y'all got going on. And so anyway, Chris reminds him that the house that he is staying in is due to be sold. And Martel is like, well, yeah, as soon as I move out. And Chris is like, no, player. Apparently, he gave Martel 30 days. It's been more than 30 days. The house has been on the market for 8 months. And Chris feels like Martel is taking advantage of their friendship and expecting special treatment because he's Martel. Martel is asking for 90 days. So that's what, 90 more days on top of the 30 days that you already got? No, player. Anyway, the owners want the house sold, as they rightfully have the right to do. He is apparently month to month, so the owners can indeed kick him out. So Martel's next route with Chris is basically, so you trying to kick me out? You trying so I don't have a place to go with my kids? And quite frankly, as Chris states, really, that's not Chris's responsibility, nor is it his problem. That is Martel's problem. So while you're running back and forth to court about, this, that, and the third, and all the babysitters that you claim that Melody got, what you probably should have been doing was securing yourself another dwelling, okay? So don't try to make where you and your kids are going to be staying another man's responsibility, especially when you're running around, wanting to be father of the year, okay? That's your first priority, is to provide safety and shelter for your family. And so you need to busy yourself with doing that versus busy yourself running down, up and through, trying to pretend, Lord have mercy, forgive me, allegedly date Sheree. Okay. That should be your priority, not Sheree. Okay. And whatever antics y'all got going on. Okay. Meanwhile, Chris is like, player, you got 2 weeks. So anyway, Kimmy and Maurice head out on a bike ride. The basis for this conversation is, she wants to get back on the yoni things or whatever that does for your lady parts, and she's trying to do whatever she can to get back in the space where they can really get back into their intimacy, their intimate life like they apparently used to, because Maurice needs it day and night, every minute of the day, 24/7. Okay, and quite frankly, he is telling Kimmy that it's more of a mind thing than it is a physiological thing. But Kimmy's trying to let him know, like, bro, this is a result of what I'm taking, the meds that I'm taking, and everything that I've been through. And to me, shouldn't you just be thankful for the fact that your wife is alive? You had a whole issue with her. Like, I saw, you know what? Like, this is one of those situations where it feels to me like the man in the situation looks at the woman as more of a like almost like he's treating her like she's a mattress. You know what I'm saying? Like something to lay on, like a blow-up doll. And it's like she's not just here for your pleasure, player. And to be quite honest with you, it seems like you would just be so thankful that she made it through this situation and wanting to celebrate her and wanting to let her get her zhuzh back naturally and in the way that she would feel comfortable doing so. Because to me, it would seem like that would be the priority, not what you need to spank a lank. You know what I'm saying? And to be quite honest with you, she should have just told him, "You got 5 fingers. You know exactly what to do to take care of those needs while I'm going through." Have some respect for your wife and the way that you talk to her and treat her on national television. Like this whole doe-eyed thing that you do, while I like Maurice in general, I just think that that thing that he does where he tries to put on the little doe eyes while he makes asinine comments about, what she's not doing in the bedroom to please him, I think it's really despicable. There's nothing there's no other way to put that. It's despicable and it's insensitive. And I just don't understand it because I'm like, bro, you are old enough to have more couth than what you are portraying on the screen. Now, again, I say portraying because I don't know what goes on in their day-to-day lives. And if we are to believe that what we're getting is real, on reality TV, then I can only go based on what you're giving me. And at the end of the day, it seems like she's telling you like you're being an a-hole and you keep digging that hole even deeper. But at the end of the day, I can't really say too much about it because obviously if she like it, we gotta love it. So Courtney let Stormy know that he stopped by and confronted Marsau, and they, dialogue about that whole situation. And, Stormy lets us know that somewhere along the way, Leticia and Marsau started charging people for the event. So let me take it back also to Kimmy and Maurice. We also found out in that conversation that not everybody had to pay for, to participate in the event, right? So it's just kind of interesting to me at what point I think Kimmy wants to know how did we get to this space where where people had to start paying and some people didn't. And then for Kimmy and Maurice, why did they then end up in a space that was so small that really didn't respect the history and the of what they were all trying to build? You would think that they would have gotten more of a marquee spacing for what they were doing for this event, particularly if they had to come out of pocket to participate. Um, Especially when you think about people having speakers fees. I mean, that's big right there. So anyway, what Stormy says I think is important. Marcel was mad because Leticia was agreeing with her, and that Leticia is constantly feeling the backlash from Marcel's antics. That has been the case since the show first began. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. All right. We learned that, Stormy will be helping with the baby reveal for Tiffany. But they don't know if Kiki's gonna come because of Crime Stoppers and things of that nature. Um, and Stormy's perspective on it is this: she's gonna give Kiki some grace because she doesn't know what Kiki is going through. And it's interesting to note Stormy's perspective on it when you also take a look globally at the show and you take a look at Tiffany's perspective. Tiffany is very worried about her brand. However, most of the cast and maybe the general audience has no idea what her brand is. Meanwhile, Stormy has a very popular name, like a notable brand, in Canvas Beauty, and everybody knows what she does, but she's not worried. Neither is Mel, who also has a very popular beauty brand, seems to really have no fear about how this will affect her. So it's just funny when you look at the different ways that different cast members are reacting to this and what we know about those characters. And so I feel like that is what happens when you have a solid brand. And not to say that Tiffany's business isn't solid, but I'm talking about the brand, right? There's a complete differentiation there because a brand is what people say about you and how that all comes together and what you have built for the particular business operations for what you do, right? And given that we don't know what Tiffany does, and she's very worried about what that branding looks like, we don't know what the branding looks like because we don't really know what you do. But we know what Mel and Stormy do because their brands really honestly speak for themselves, and they know that. So I feel like that's why they have no fear about it. So it really is just an interesting sociological look at how the characters maneuver and what we know about them, right? So I found that very interesting. Um, when we talk about this whole Crime Stoppers thing, Melody goes by to check on Kiki, brings her a push through t-shirt. We learn that Kiki has just gotten out of the hospital for the second time in a week, and we learned that she was dealing with some back pains. Now, I cannot recall precisely everything that she stated in the interview that I did with her, but I'm pretty sure that that when she initially got into this situation with medications, that it was something to do with back pain or some type of pain management. So I wonder how this fits in with this narrative, with Leticia still wondering if she is, back on the medications and things of that nature. And then if you have an addiction, can you still take medications for pain? That's not something that I know. So if you do, let me know in the chatterization down below. These are very just interesting questions that have come about as a result of the episode. I have to hand it to the story producers for this show in particular, because it has gotten very intricate in terms of how we're weaving such a large cast and we're making them all involved with each other in this really, really cohesive way. Kiki's talking nonstop. She's got the speaking engagement. She's gained 30 pounds. She's writing the book. There's a children's book. There's a poetry book. There's a poetry slam. There's a comedy show. I'm adding this in, but it was a lot, okay? Mel brings up the Crime Stoppers video and how Tiffany is, wondering how it will affect everyone's brand. And Kiki is like, well, are we talking about being accused or being convicted? And Melanie's saying, well, you're being accused, honey. So here's what we know about the accused at the end of the day. What we know is this. As of the air date of this episode, no charges have been filed against Kiki Jabbar in connection with the Crime Stoppers segment. So this begs the question of what truly went on inside this Home Depot. And when will we finally get the tea on what it is? Because if there are no charges being filed, then was there really truly a theft involved? And how does this all play out with Crime Stoppers? I'm not really familiar with how Crime Stoppers works, but in my mind, I mean, is it on the store to charge her with alleged stealing, or is it on Crime Stoppers to issue charges or to issue to make the public aware? That's what I'm really confused about. If you know, let me know in the chatterization down below. I cannot wait to see how all of this unfolds throughout the rest of the season. I'm super excited about it. Let me know how you feel about it. And with that being said, of course, that is the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. We will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I mean, I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't that for me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her all her dirty little secrets, just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out.
She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?